Hello and welcome to Mouse's Makes episode, have to look at it every time, 68. Poppy's not with us at the moment. I'm out of breath because I've just had to run up and down the stairs. I should have waited a minute before I pressed start really, shouldn't I? Poppy's not with us at the moment because Dave is home from work on holiday. He's just come in without his keys, which is why I had to run up and down the stairs. And so she's gone off to see what he's doing. But she'll probably be back. Okay, to begin with, in proper podcaster fashion, I am wearing the Breezeway tee by Fog Bandits, which I adapted to be a stripy tee using the Firefly minis from The Lonely Knitter. That's all I need to say about that. Secondly, an apology. If you were waiting for the live to start on Saturday, oh, what a disaster. Before I went to go live, I checked out how to get live. That was about an hour before. So then I came to go live and I couldn't remember which buttons to press. Then I finally figured out the buttons to press, pressed them, and it said YouTube has to run some checks before you can go live. These generally take about 24 hours. Cue minor meltdown. So Dave, who was helping me pick the prize winners, said, why don't you just record it and then put it up as normal? So that's what I did. So hopefully, if you entered the mail and you were interested, you've watched that. I am, however, waiting for addresses for 3 winners. One of them, yes, Amanda, it's you. You still haven't given me your address. Little Lycac yarn. The other is Lorna, Knitting Bandit 1. I'm sure I haven't had your address yet. And the third is Yarn for Brains. I have messaged you two ladies on Instagram, and I think Yarn for Brains, I think you've seen my message, but I don't know if you were sure that it was me. So it was me. Can I have your address, please, so I can send you your prize? Other than that, if you let me have your address before Monday, your prizes are on the way. If I've had your address since Monday, they'll be going out on Friday because we are in the middle of another postal strike. So there's no point me posting anything until it's over. So I think that's Ukraine mail dealt with. I have drawn for the 1000 scrubs. Oh my Lord. The 1000 subscriber prize draw. The prize for which is a knitting pattern. And I'm going to put on the screen here the winner, because I did it just before I came on, because I'm using my phone to record, so I can't do the draw live. So yeah, here is, hopefully, if I've managed to get it on properly, the winner. I'm pretty sure you're on Ravelry. Oh, what is wrong with my mouth this morning? Because I think we might be friends on there. If so, let me know what pattern you like. If you're not, contact me in the usual ways, it's down below. Next, this is a lot of admin this morning, I'm very sorry. Next is a thank you. I had a lady called Leslie who watches the podcast contact me and ask if I would like a couple of knitting books. And she sent me this one, Knitting for Tommy, which is kind of a history book as well as a knitting book. So it's got songs and sort of the history of ladies knitting for soldiers on the front during the First World War. There's some stunning pictures, photographs. I don't know what she's knitting there. very peculiar shape. And this one, it's, the lady's obviously on a film set. Oh, sorry. So yeah, so that one, extremely interesting. Don't know if these are still available. She sent me these, they were her own books that she's gifted to me. Excuse me. And then this book, which is a load of patterns from a film. Let me find the name of the film. Oh gosh, I had it just now and it's gone. The film is about a family, so it's kind of, I think, a docudrama. I've not managed to find it to watch yet. And all the patterns in it are period correct and also appeared in the film. It's on the front cover. I'm having one of my mornings, aren't I? I'd like to tell you this only happens when I come to record, but it doesn't. This is permanent. Yeah. The feature film is called Tell Them of Us. And this is full of patterns from the film. So thank you very much, Leslie. We've all enjoyed having a look through those. Okay. I think that's all the admin I had to do. We do have a new make-alongs running. New make-along running that started on the 1st of September and runs until the 31st of October. Basically, it's an autumn mal, whatever you like. You can enter again knitting, crochet, cross stitch, machine knitting, so long as it has an autumn link. So the colour of the stuff you've used, the name of the pattern is pretty loosey-goosey. There is on Ravelry both a chat thread and a finished object thread. And on Instagram there's a hashtag for showing what you're making. I will put up a finished object one as well. I didn't think to do that in time. But I doubt anybody's finished already. It's only the, what is it, the 8th? Oh, my watch has turned itself off. What is the date today? The 7th. Actually, saying that, I did see a finished object already this morning. Ignore me. I'll put all the details down below. Okay. Now we can actually get on to some stuff I've been knitting. I'm going to do the thing I do that annoys people. I haven't done a great deal of knitting this week because Dave has been home. And consequently, we've had some trips out and doing things together, so it's eaten into my knitting time a little bit. But I have done some. Last week I showed you I've cast on all the autumn things. Everything else is on hold. I had a massive tidy up in here on Sunday afternoon because I'm joining the new Stephen West MCAL and I wanted to go through my hand dyed yarns. There's not a great deal of hand dyed yarn in my stash. Probably less than a third is hand dyed, but I wanted to have a look through it. And it was a perfect excuse just to get it all out and love it a bit. So I got it all out and I sorted it all out, and that led to me having a bit of a sort out in general and trying to make a bit more space because I've got so many works in progress in project bags that I couldn't actually get to my desk because it was all piled on my desk. So now there's a shelf that's got the big bags on, and there's a crate, you know, one of those fold up crates that's got all the smaller project bags in. It's tidier in here. It'll be tidier still when I get everybody's addresses and I can get the rest of the prizes in the post. So last week I showed you the stuff I'd cast on. And I cast on a jumper that had a cabled yoke and I wasn't happy with it. And I pulled it down. But I wanted to cast something on in that yarn because it's the perfect autumny colour. So I have cast on this, which is the Celosius by Jennifer Steingass. This is third time lucky with this pattern. I've tried it twice before. The first time I did it in pale green with white for the Colourwork, and there wasn't enough contrast. You couldn't see there was any Colourwork on it at all. The second time, last July, I cast it on for Christmas in July, and I was doing it in red with a sparkly white. Looked really, really nice. Divided for the sleeves, and I only had 50 stitches for the back. I don't know what I'd done. So that got pulled down. So as I say, this is third time lucky. So I've cast it on again using these two yarns. This gorgeous autumny colour, which I've learnt to hold back here so you can get the proper colour. That is a Crafty Things from Home Bargains, and it's Burnt Orange is the name. And for the Colourwork, I'm using this, which is Starcraft Special DK in Empire. I just love this colour, and it likes me as well. Not all colours that I love do like me, but this one does. And I'm getting a tangle, and I'm doing well so far. So far, no disaster. So third time lucky might actually work. But I've only got this far with it. It's not terribly far. Just started the Colourwork. I am actually, though, really loving how these colours are working together. Blue, turquoise, teal, whatever you would call it, really pops out. So I'm very pleased with that. I need to put a progress marker in it, though. I'll put that there. I'll put that there, which will be in Poppy's way when she inevitably reappears and wants to get into her basket. So, yeah, I'll have to move that, I expect. So that was my new cast on, because I junked the one I had before. What else have I been getting on with? Oh, my foxy mitts. Oh, my foxy mitts. I think I'd just done the rib on this when I showed it to you last week. I've kind of finished one mitt. I've still got the thumb to do. Yes, I had. That's where I was when I saw you last. Just done the rib. I've now finished the mitt, but not really. I'll explain in a minute. So that is the underside. Excuse that. That's just holding the thumb stitches. You can see her little tail comes round. And that's the back. I messed up her face a little bit. I did all of this in one go on Thursday, and I was getting tired, and by the time I got to about here, there's about 4 or 5 rows where her snout is that I had to keep dropping back down because I put stitches in the wrong place. So that's a little bit annoying. So she looks a little bit more, she looks a bit grouchy, to be fair. She's a grouchy little fox. Grouchy vixen. It doesn't state on the pattern whether she's male or female, but to me she looks like a girl. So, yeah, I'm not awfully happy with this bit, but I'll do better on the second mitt. The other thing I'm not overjoyed with is for the rusty fox colour. Where is it? I've used this, which is Drops Alpaca in 2925. Whoops, that's great. That's nice and hairy, for want of a better word. For the rest of the mitt, so the contrast, I've used this, which is Cascade Heritage. I haven't had a drink, I swear. In macadamia. The Cascade is just so beautifully soft, but it's not, how can I explain this? It's not gripping onto itself the same way that the alpaca is. So as a consequence, the ribbing is a bit loosey-goosey and baggy. So I think what I'm going to do is, this is knit on a 2.25 needle. I'm going to take it back, just the rib, and do it on a 2mm needle and see if that does the trick. If not, it's already a half twisted rib. I'll do it on the 2mm needle and I'll do a twisted rib. I don't want it so that I can't move my fingers, but I would like it so that a draft doesn't blow up. It's a bit too loose, and when you bend your fingers there's a draft space there. So I'm just going to alter that before I do the thumb and before I get on with the second mitt. Apart from that, I could not put it down. I absolutely loved it. I love knitting it. Can you believe it, after all that fuss I made last year about the elephant mitts that were by the same designer? I should really tell you who that was, shouldn't I? These are called the Outfoxed mitts by Erica Huser. I think her name is pronounced Heussser. I think it's double S. Anyway. So these are the Outfoxed mitts. The ones I knit for my daughter-in-law with the elephant on were called the Peaceable mitts. Same designer. But I've done a lot of colour work since I knit those, and these, oh gosh, I'm making it worse, not better. It's a bit difficult to tell because it needs blocking, but you've got these sort of flower heads at the top and on here as well. I just love the way the design wraps around, but you've still got this column up the side. Really pleased with those, or this, because it's not really a those yet, is it? Yeah, so I did get that done. I didn't expect to get that much of it done, but I literally could not put it down. So that was the Foxy mitt. I've also been getting on with my Colourwork sweater from the fall collection. It's not this one, but there are no pictures in the pattern of the other charts, of the other options, just charts. So I can't show you the actual one. This is the fall collection by Bad Wolf Girl, Megan Regan. And it has the ghost yoke, cats, pumpkins and 2 leaf designs. I'm doing one of the leaf designs. Oh, hang on. This is how far I've got with it. When you saw it last week, I've got into quite a tangle. When you saw it last week, I was there. Try again. I was there. And now I am, see if I can get this to hold up properly, all the way down there. It's a bit hard for you to see the stitch marker. It's one of the beautiful stitch markers that I was sent. Just turn around the wrong way. Sent by Linda. She made them herself. And it wants to be around the wrong way. It's because I put it in that way up. Never mind. Yeah, so I've put a little bit on, a couple of inches, but I am now into the leaf pattern. Let's see if I can. Oh, not really, you can't really see yet. But yeah, I've begun the leaf pattern. I've used some scraps for the rest of the colour work. That looks like it's ribbed. It's not. It's just where it needs blocking. It's flat. The grey is Stylecraft Special DK in graphite. That's not scraps. Most of this is some leftover Sirdar jewel spun. I don't know if you can see this row of little things there. That's left over from my autumn striped sweater that I made a few weeks ago. The orange is left over from my what's it called, Sabrina sweater, the first one I made, and that is Stylecraft DK Spice. And then for the leaf motif itself, I'm using another Home Bargains yarn, and this is Mustard. So I bought the Home Bargains yarn, but everything else has come out of stash and I'm using up scraps. So I'm quite pleased with this. The yarn that I'm using for the main body, the grey, that's kind of recycled. I was making a Stephen West sweater last year and I didn't like the colours that were going into it. Because I'd always had in my mind to put colours of this range in with the grey, and the yarn that I'd bought to go with it in my head was in these tones, but it wasn't at all. It was in pinks. I don't know. I still don't know. I've looked through my stash 4 or 5 times. 4 or 5? Wow. 4 or 5 times since then, and the yarn that I have in my brain, I can see a picture of it. It does not exist. It just is. It's a figment of my imagination. But never mind. I am happy with it now, and I'm using up my scraps, which is extra good. Stash busting and scrap busting all in one go. I'm sure there's something I can enter this into because I'm using my scraps. I'll have to investigate that. But yeah. That's how that's coming out. Might have finished the leaves by the time you see it next week, hopefully. Might have finished the whole yoke, that would be good. As I say, my knitting time's been a bit curtailed, so I've not got on quite as far with things as I generally would have done. Plus, I'm trying to finish this next thing. I'm just going to show you the pattern and not say the name for fear of upsetting my friend Jane. It's the Stephen West shawl. As you can see, it's a big one. And the more I knit on it, I wasn't going to make it. If you were here before and you saw this, I was not going to make it. I was quite adamant. Didn't want to get involved in a great big shawl. It wasn't a mystery, so we all saw how big it was going to be. Wasn't going to make it because I want to join in with the MCAL and I didn't want to get tied up with a great big shawl to be rushing to finish it, to get involved in what is almost certainly going to be another great big shawl in the MCAL. And then everyone in kind of my friends group were making it. Well, not everyone, almost everyone was making it. And I got FOMO, which is fear of missing out for those of you who don't know. And so I cast it on. And the more it grows, the more I love it. I have just had, let's stick that in there for a minute. I've just had to put it onto a longer cable. And it still doesn't fit the cable. And I'm nowhere near finished. It's going to be humongous. But the more I knit it, the more I like it. I've again stash busted. So I've used, just checking I'm showing you the right side. Yeah, I am. I've used yarn from stash and I've used scraps, which is where I came a little bit unstuck. That's the start of it there. This pale yellow are some scraps of Mad Madam Mel sock yarn, that I had left over from making my uncle a pair of socks, and I only had enough to do this stripe here, this stripe here, and I thought this stripe here, and I ran out 2 rows before I'd finished this stripe. So I put it away overnight and thought about what I was going to do, and in actual fact the 2 rows that I couldn't do aren't increasing rows, so I just forgot about them and moved on to the next section, which is this mesh. I don't think anybody's going to notice, and if they do, well, good luck to them. I'm pretty sure 2 rows of seed stitch aren't going to have a huge impact on the size of the overall shawl. And if anyone wants to come and count my rows when I'm wearing it, well then they're probably far too close to me for comfort and will get told to move away. That was polite, wasn't it? I've also done, moving swiftly on from aggressive stuff, I've also done the mohair there. So I've put in a row of mohair there. I can't tell you the names of most of these yarns because they either didn't have labels or whatever. I know the pale yellow is Mad Madam Mel because I remember the socks I made with it. The blue, Signet Truly Woolrich, the dark blue. That's about all the information I can give you so far. I'm planning to put in another creamy stripe just to balance this. I think I'm going to do the last stripe before the border in the cream. Basically it's just an undyed, just so that it's not the only cream stripe in the shawl looking a bit odd all by itself. And I might even squeeze it in somewhere else before then, perhaps with some you know, in one of the striped sections, because apparently artistically odd numbers are more pleasing to the eye. So things that are in 3s and 5s and 7s are more pleasing to the eye than even numbers. So I'm told. So I might well do that. But yeah, I am hopeful. The MCAL starts on the 6th of September. The pattern's already available, but the first clue comes out 6th of September. And I'm fairly hopeful that I'll have this all done by then. May not have it blocked because I've got to block it on the washing machine, because when it's finished it is massive. It's 80 something centimetres. Where's the pattern gone? Not centimetres, that wouldn't be very big at all, would it? Finished size, does it say? It works out to about 8.5 feet anyway. About 2 metres. 98 inches, there you go. 98 inches finished wingspan. That's big. Yeah. The rows are already getting pretty slow. They're going to get slower still. I think I've got another 100 stitches to go before I'm at maximum stitch count. Yes, it's going to get slower and slower, I think. But as I said, the more I knit it, the more I love it. I did originally just start it because I felt left out. And I used yarn in my stash. I just went through and found scraps and things that I wasn't heartbroken because I didn't really want it for something else in particular, and stuck it all together. Oh, excuse me. And I should show you. Got my little witch's hat there. That's where I was last time you saw it, just there. So I've put a little bit on. Not a huge amount. I'm going to move that while I think of it. Yeah. Oh, don't roll away. Please don't roll away. Yeah. It's nice having Dave home. And it's nice going out and doing some stuff together. It's encroaching on my knitting time a little bit. But never mind. Oh, I can't get that in there. I have to do it now or I will forget. You know I will. Oh my gosh. Yesterday, I was on Zoom with one of my friends and she said something about, you know, I'm going to put something in with something I'm sending you. I was like, are you sending me something? She went, yes, you know I am. Do I? And we'd had a whole conversation about it. And I had to go back and look at the conversation because I have no recollection. None. Absolutely gone. Zero. And it was quite a long conversation as well. I don't know, is it menopause? I know they say you get a little bit flaky. It could be menopause. Could be post-COVID brain. Oh, and that's another thing. I've recovered really well from the COVID, but I can constantly smell like bonfire smoke. And I was getting really cross about it, and Dave Googled it, and apparently it's a hang on from COVID. So that's nice. Or it could be kidney function. Who knows? I have the trifecta, or it could just be that I'm a little bit dippy. Oh, here she comes. Come on then. Quickly, I've nearly finished. Quick. Oh, I told you I'd have to move this, didn't I? Come on then. There she is. Everybody was wondering where you were. Oh, you're wet. Oh dear. She's wet. Everybody was wondering where you were. You abandoned your post on podcast day. Oh dear, poor puppy. Poor puppy. My apologies for the abrupt exit. Apparently my camera decided that I'd filled the memory, and so it cut me off. I'm back to tell you that I've saved this for last. Do you remember? You may not have seen last week, but I showed you this pattern. It's called Totally Cabled. I did get it on Ravelry, and it's by Linda Lehman. 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 I wanted these gloves so badly, and I could not decipher the pattern. Well, ta-da! I have managed, and I'm actually... Right, let me explain the problem. In the written instructions, I'm hoping it doesn't cut me off again, because I'm not doing this again. In the written instructions, it uses abbreviations that I wasn't familiar with. And the reason I wasn't familiar with them is because they weren't for a particular action. They were for a whole chart. And in that chart are various different cabley things. So once I sat down when I wasn't too tired and looked at it, I began to figure out what I needed to do. It's actually not as difficult as I thought it was going to be, but on each row, you're working from 4 different charts. And each chart has a different number of rows. So that's where it gets a little bit complicated. But I have solved that by... To begin with, when I print out my patterns, I print them double-sided so that I save paper. And I do print my patterns out, and I don't use, I can't think what it's called, the thing you can have on a tablet or whatever. I prefer to have a paper pattern. So what I did was I was having to flip one side to the other, then the other side of another piece and back to the other. It was just making it really difficult. So I printed out 2 of the charts again. So I've now got 4 charts on separate pieces of paper. I'm going to have a drink, sorry. which means that I can just move. I'm so sorry. Oh no, great. No, it's gone. It's gone completely. I can move. This is just hay fever. I do apologise. I can move from one chart to the next, to the third, to the fourth. I'm going to stop talking and just show you what I've got. Sorted. So, since I now appear to have lost my voice, I'm going to leave it there for today and go and work on this because I'm really enjoying it now. And I will see you all next Wednesday. If you want a prize, please let me have your address. If you want to see who won, what prizes, it will be the video before this in your list of my videos, and it's called the bonus episode. I'm going to go. Poppy's just disgusted. Oh, it's coming back. Yeah. So, she wasn't here to say hello, but she's here to say bye-bye. From Poppy and me, see you next week. Bye, guys.